Screw Mad Dragon. Stupid Dragon, that should be his name.
Oh my. Glad I got that recorded.
Suck it. Yeah. Put that in the podcast.
I will. Hello everyone and welcome to the VGL podcast, number 18 I think it is. Let me check the Google Doc. The Google Doc says it's number 18, so it is. With me is a bit of a skeleton crew. It's just myself and VertigoTeaParty.
That's all we really need is somebody else.
Pretty much.
This time it's Raven.
Oh wow, thanks. So
interchangeable.
I suppose that's the introductions. We don't really need to do any more than that. Super quick and easy. That could be taken out of context. So why don't you tell the viewers or listeners what you've been playing?
So I just wrapped up Shovel Knight last week. I think it was pretty short game. It's like it took me. I tend to play games slower than most people. I tend to like explore and kind of re-explore because I think I missed something and then go back one more time because I think I really missed something. But it only took me about 7.5 hours to get through it. Most people
really
7 to 8. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Somebody said, "Oh yeah, if you're halfway decent at platformers, it'll take you 8 hours." And I was like, "Oh, okay, so 10 hours then is what it'll take."
Yeah.
But not like 7.5 hours. I went through it, and I went in being very skeptical. I'm not really crazy about platformers, like side-scrolling platformers.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like something you'd like.
No, I mean I like Super Meat Boy for the most part, but generally I'm not a big fan of platformers, and I'm really 100% over the whole like, oh, look how retro this game is. Like I'm definitely over that.
Yeah, definitely.
But
same here.
I went in knowing the game had really high praise, but there's been a lot of other games that have high praise that I thought were anywhere from bland to terrible.
Like what?
Thomas Was Alone.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was shit.
Incredibly. I don't think it was shit. I think it was mediocre as hell.
Well, I had a lot of problems with the physics of Thomas Was Alone. I kept getting stuck inside of like walls and stuff. The Unity engine being as great as always.
Yeah, I don't think I ran into any bugs. I didn't quite finish it. I think it got to the last chapter. But yeah, I mean I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was forgettable.
I think aside from the narration, the game was terrible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you took the narration out, nobody would give two shits about that game.
Definitely.
So it's pretty much carried by the narration and the whole like feel good feeling of, oh, every block is special, and no matter what, you have your own usefulness that you can bring to the group.
Yeah.
That kind of
Sesame Street bullshit.
Feel good horse shit, which some people like that. Whatever floats your boat. Like I said, I don't think it was a bad game, but the puzzles were overly simplistic, and and I thought it was funny that the whole message was, trying to push home the whole, like, everybody's, might not seem like you've got unique talents, but, the old situations will come up where, that you'll really shine. But, like, more often than not, there was one or two blocks that were way more useful than everybody else. So,
yeah.
Like, you might have useful talents once in a while, but for the most part, you just kind of get in the way. It reminds me, I don't know why I thought about this, but it reminds me of, Captain Planet, where you had all the kids with like the fire ring and the earth ring, but then you had the kid with the heart ring. And it's like, what is that supposed to do? And they even gave him a monkey. So like, you're like, oh, he's got a monkey. Isn't that cool? And there was even an episode of that show where they talked about how useless he was.
And even they knew. Wow.
Yeah, even they knew, but they tried to play it off like, oh no, we need you. So of course that was the episode that everybody but him got captured and he had to rescue them. And it turned out like, oh, see, we need you to summon Captain Planet. See, so you're useful. It's like, that's not really being useful. That's like, I don't know, that's like a really important person won't talk to anybody directly but you. So they have to go through you to get to that really smart and important person. So therefore you feel important. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of like, it's important through proxy. But regardless, anyway, I said, it was terrible.
We should go back to Shovel Knight. I gotta try to be the one who keeps us on track now that Ice Bear isn't here.
Yeah, and that game I do feel legitimately was really good. I was afraid that the game was going to fall back to a lot of the old school, like just cheap kills, like Mega Man in particular. While I loved Mega Man at the time, it it killed you in a lot of really cheap ways.
Spikes.
Like pits, yeah, spikes, instant kill stuff. So and you know it did it in just like, oh, you made one mistake, dead, and you've only got so many lives, and you have to redo the whole stage or whatever. So it it was a little cheap. So I thought, okay, this game's going to try to do difficulty that way, but until the end, I didn't really find that it did that. I found that the waypoint system was cool. I like the fact that you could destroy the waypoints to get money if you wanted to. I only did it once, and that was by accident. But you can. I like that risk reward system. I like any type of game where you can risk a little bit, and if you're successful, you actually get rewarded for it, and not just oh, you got an achievement or you feel good about yourself. It's I've got more money, so now I can buy more upgrades.
What does money do? Like, there are upgrades. Like, what do the upgrades and money do? Is it sort of like how in Mega Man 1 you had a score, like, and it's just there for the sake of it, or is there actual purpose?
Yeah, you can buy things like you can buy armor, you can buy various shovel upgrades, you can buy health and magic upgrades, things like that. So it is actually pretty useful. Though I will say it tends to stop being useful kind of quick. Because at some point, well, I wouldn't say quick, but about 3/4 of the way through the game, I'd bought pretty much everything that was realistically useful at that point. And at that point, I was just buying things just to buy them to try to get them all. But I mean, for the most part, it was handy. I would have liked to seen more things to spend money on.
Are there any costumes?
No, there was armor that you can buy, but all of them but one actually had like uses. Like one of them, for example, you took more damage, but you what was the big thing? Oh, it increased your max magic, and you got more magic from killing enemies. So and that's when I ended up wearing this like most of the game once I got it, because it was really, really good. But yeah, there's other things like you don't get knocked back when enemies hit you, but I guess you have more momentum once you get moving, stuff like that.
Oh. So sort of like, do you sort of move like Luigi?
I guess.
Played any Luigi games?
I never used it, so I'm not sure. From the description, that's what it sounded like. And then there's like a gold set of armor that it just flat out says, this does nothing, but it looks nice. So that was obviously just, supposed to be there for you to buy. But, it had a lot of elements of things like Mega Man, DuckTales.
I know you're a big fan of DuckTales.
I do love DuckTales, yes. And it definitely reminded me a lot of that game. But yeah, and the graphics were really well done. It looked like something that would have been created towards the end of the NES's life cycle, because it actually looked like pretty detailed. Like Mario Brothers 3 or something.
What I've seen of it, I noticed one major thing that means that it would never have worked on an NES: the lack of sprite flickering. Like on Mega Man games, there were just so many sprite flickering, or just so much sprite flickering. Like Mega Man 2, when I was playing that on the 3DS, and I was fighting this dragon, and it was just like, where is the dragon? It's disappearing and reappearing. Just stop disappearing. And it's not like an effect that it's supposed to have. It's just the sprites fucking up.
Right, and the slowdown, of course, too.
Yes.
I think that game actually did have a little bit of slowdown once in a while, but it was very rare. It's to the point that I don't remember if it. I can't be 100% sure I had it. But another good thing about that game, I hate games that just throw you in and as some kind of excuse of, oh, this game's difficult, we don't tell you how to play it at all. I hate that. Like, I think it's just flat out laziness by game developers to do things. And this game didn't do that. Like, it didn't have a, press A to attack with your shovel, press down and A to do a downward shovel, things like that. It didn't tell you, but it put them in the game in such a way that you had to do these things in order to progress. So, for example, you get to this part really early on where you see an area to go below you, but there's just like solid dirt between you and the area below you. And obviously you need to get down there, but there's no other way to do it. You have to like jump and do your downward shovel. So the game's basically like, hey, you figure out how to do the downward shovel, you jump and press down. Oh, okay, I see how that works. So now you know how to do it. And usually what it'll do is like, okay, now you've done the super easy thing. Now we'll do 2 or 3 more examples of that are a little bit harder, a little progressively harder, so that you get used to doing it and kind of build it into your strategy, so to speak. And the game's very simplistic. You can't do that with like a game like Crusader Kings, you couldn't.
Oh yeah, no, definitely
It's
not.
way too deep and complex.
Well, I mean, maybe you could, but you'd be there for like hundreds of hours just explaining how the menus work. All right, now you understand how the new game works. We can move on to more.
Right. I mean, I think even that game should have a tutorial, but I don't think it can be done in the way that Shovel Knight does it. Shovel Knight can get away with it because the game is so simplistic.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you have an attack, you can downward attack, you can use magic spells, and you jump. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of that game. There's not a hell of a lot to it. Now, each stage did have unique mechanics, like unique things. Like, for example, there's this like fire stage where there's these rivers of lava and these pillars of lava, and there's these spigots that shoot out this green slime. So again, the way this game would teach you would say, okay, well, you come up to this area, there's nothing but lava past this little cliff. So obviously there's nowhere to go. But there's also this thing dripping this green stuff that kind of congeals when it hits the ground. So at first I thought, oh, well, that's dangerous. I need to avoid it. But then I was like, okay, well, I can't go anywhere. And then I found out, oh, I can jump on top of this stuff, but I can't jump far enough to get over the lava. So then I thought, well, I start, trying to run into it. And then I realized, oh, if I hit it with my shovel, it knocks it into the lava and then temporarily makes the lava become the green bouncy stuff so that I can go past it. And there's not any other real dangers around. There's no pits. There's no enemies flying at you while you're trying to figure this out. You have a chance to, oh, okay, this is how this works. And then right after that, you see it again, but now maybe there's a pit, or maybe there's an enemy or a platform you have to get on. And then after that, there's a pit with a moving platform. It just progressively.
Yeah, that's some sort of layered learning. Like you're learning while you're playing, but it doesn't feel like you're learning. Eager Raptor did a really good video about this on Mega Man X in his sequels. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of when you were talking about this. How it's very simple game mechanics, but they keep layering on top of them until you've got this really complicated thing at the end of it that you couldn't have done at the very start. But that's super cool that they've managed to put actually good game design into their game. That's a very unique trait from game developers, to be able to make good games.
Right, and that's why I say that was something that stuck out to me, that they did that in a really cool way without having to stop the game and say, press jump and press down for this or that or whatever.
Oh, like in the Mega Man iOS port or Mega Man X iOS port. Have you played that?
Oh Lord, no.
It's fucking atrocious. Basically, every time you want to do something, a little pop-up screen comes up and just tells you what you need to do, how to do it, and the buttons, and it's fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
There's also in-app purchases, if that wasn't bad enough.
Oh. Yeah. I want to see those in-app purchases for Nintendo games, which we'll talk about later, I guess. But,
yeah.
But Shovel Knight, the music was good. The level variety was cool. The enemy variety was good. Like the types of enemies you fought weren't just like sort reskins. They actually did different things.
What sort of level variety is there? Is it just like a Super Mario Bros. 3, how it's like, plains, desert, ice, so on and so forth?
Yeah, there's definitely that type of variation where it's like you have your lava level, you have your ice level, you have the machine type level, things like that. But some of the enemies and some of the mechanics they introduce into them are kind of like their own thing. For example, there's one level, like the sky level. There's a part where like the wind will blow like up or down or left and right, and it's like, and you have to kind of get through the level with it, but there's spikes and enemies and stuff. So if you miss time, you'll run into the spikes. You'll fall down the pits and stuff like that. You have to get. Or the fire level has these, like the little green things I was talking about before, where it's you have to knock the things into the lava to make them turn basically to like the kind of like the bouncing putty from Portal 2. You had to do that, and it got more complicated as you went along and things like that. So yeah, like every maybe the actual settings were pretty stereotypical, like you say, the desert, the ice, the air level, stuff like that. But the actual mechanics in the levels were pretty interesting. Like I said, the boss, or not boss, but the enemy variations were pretty good as well.
Have you considered maybe working with them as marketing? Because I kind of want to buy this game right now. It's been on my wish list for ages, and it's just I don't
Yeah,
know.
I forget when I think I bought it on Christmas sale. I think it went really cheap.
Really?
And
Huh.
it's definitely really good. And if you're the type, and I know you're not, but if you're the type to want to play through a game like twice, there is a new game plus. I don't know what's different, but it is there. You can do it, and I presume that the enemies do more damage and maybe they take more hits. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Well, I only do like multiple playthroughs of the same game if I really, really like it. Like I've played through Batman Arkham Asylum like 13 times, I think. So, I mean, if this is as good as it sounds, I think I might actually do that New Game Plus.
yeah, I mean, and it being like you said, being a short game, you could kind of blow through it the first time to learn how everything works, and then go through again.
Yeah, that's
On a
true.
high
Because
difficulty.
I sort of do that with a lot of platinum games. You know, like the Legend of Korra. I played that for like 6 hours first time through. Then I played the extreme difficulty mode for another 6 hours, and I was like, "Yep, this is great. Got my money's worth."
I still need to play that. I've got it.
Yeah, you
It's
do.
on my list of stuff that I want to play
I
this
gifted
year.
it to Mad Dragon and Ice Bear for Christmas. I was going to gift it to you, but you already had it. Sorry. And it's just like they still haven't played it. It's like I'm the only one in our small group that has played it.
I'm going to. It's definitely on my list, but now I was trying to knock out a lot of these things before the big releases hit.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
kind of behind now. But I've got about half my list done. But there's still so much. Last year really felt like the year where I was so behind on. There were so many good games that came out that I missed, and like I feel like the big games that I did play ended up being like anywhere from mediocre to pretty good. But then the great ones like Dragon Age Inquisition, Wolf
Mhm.
Among Us, Walking Dead Season
Did Wolf
2,
Among Us come
Transistor.
out last year?
I thought, I thought that was last year.
Was it? I'll
It's
have
on
to.
my list, so regardless, I'm gonna end up playing this one.
Oh, okay.
But I put it on my list. That doesn't mean it actually did.
It came out
last
in
year.
2013, but did
Oh,
it
wow,
end
so
on
long.
2014? It might have. Yeah, it ended in 2014. Huh? I didn't know that.
Okay, I'm calls it 2014.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
that's
don't
fine.
know that. But yeah, there's so many other games, Child of Light, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I've got to play that
Murdered
as
Soul
well.
Suspect, which I know that got pretty mediocre reviews, but I thought it looked really cool, so I wanted to play it. But
Yeah, I'm
anyway,
the same way.
but yeah, Shovel Knight, definitely very impressed. I'm, like I said, I was skeptical going in. I thought I'm going to go in and I'm going to hate this game. People are going to be like, "What? How can you hate Shovel Knight?" Or at least not be crazy about it. But I actually very much it was very good, and I think if you even remotely like platformers, even if you're turned off by the whole like NES nostalgia thing, you should absolutely try it.
Yeah, the main thing that's been preventing me from wanting to play is that NES retro look because I'm fine with games that like look like an NES game, but my biggest problem is when they look like an NES game but like couldn't run on any NES because a lot of features in Shovel Knight couldn't actually work on an NES, and that's my biggest problem with games that look similar to a NES game. Like it's got parallax scrolling and stuff like that, which an NES couldn't do. It was a Super Nintendo thing. Like why the fuck don't they just add Mode 7 while they're at it? Fucking wankers.
Well,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
Right. But I mean, for the most part, though, that's why I said it looks like something near the end of the Nintendo life cycle.
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's
The NES
it's
did have
good.
a
It's not
really
like the lazy 8-bit, right? It's not the lazy 8-bit where you
Yeah.
have like Super Mario Brothers, really early.
They look closer to Atari 2600 than NES.
Right. And that's where I feel like a lot of developers like, oh well, we don't have much of an art budget. Let's do it 8-bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Call it throwback. But anyway, so what did you play?
I played Resident Evil Revelations 2, which was a surprisingly good game. I was not expecting it to be that good. Because, in fact, I wasn't
Which
even...
one?
Resident Evil Revelations 2, the most recent...
Oh, yeah.
It's the sequel to the spin-off Resident Evil Revelations, the game that initially
Right.
came out on the 3DS.
So when is there going to be a prequel to the sequel to the spinoff?
I'm
HD remake.
I'm fairly sure there's already been one. The prequel to the... Sorry, repeat that again, because I think there actually has been.
A prequel, well, I kind of made up the second part, but a prequel to the spinoff HD remake. That's what I want.
I thought you said sequel to the prequel.
No, I said prequel to the sequel, but an HD
Prequel
remake.
to the sequel. No, they're working on that. I'm Resident Evil 0. It's the prequel to Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Wait, but there is a Resident Evil 0, right?
Yeah, that's with Claire Redfield, and that's a prequel to, well, I guess Code Veronica or Resident Evil 2. So I guess that sort of count. So there you go. They've got it. Capcom's got your back. Don't worry.
So wait a minute. So are they doing an HD remake of that?
Yes. Well, that's what's rumored. So
there's going to be an HD remake of a prequel.
Of a prequel of a spin-off. Well, technically, it's the true Resident Evil 3, but due to a licensing agreement with Sony, they had to just change the names. Because Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was originally going to be the spin-off, and Code Veronica was originally going to be the third game.
Oh, yeah, I remember something. I don't really follow the whole Resident Evil, but I remember hearing that.
Yeah, so, anyway, Resident Evil Revelations 2 is a game that is a sort of return to form for Resident Evil. I wasn't really following it that much during its development because, while I thought it looked interesting, I just figured, oh, I'll pick it up on a Steam sale, play it, and most likely enjoy it the same way I do with the majority of the Resident Evil games, aside from, Operation Raccoon City, Resident Evil 6, and 5. So, wow, that sounds terrible when I say it out loud. Sounds like I don't enjoy them that much. But Resident Evil Revelations 2 was actually really good. So I didn't pick it up day one because wasn't really feeling it, but I watched a Let's Play of the first episode and a half because it released episodically. It's all done now. I've played the entire game. And it was really good. It's basically The Last of Us meets Resident Evil. And that sounds really weird, and it is. So the game stars Moira Burton, who is Barry Burton's daughter. It stars Claire Redfield. It's in 2008, 2009, I forget. And it also stars Barry Burton and Natalia, a small, 8-year-old girl. And it controls a lot like Resident Evil 6 meets Resident Evil 4. It's a co-op. I'm terrible at describing games, and I tend to have. When the rest of you guys are here, you can generally just back me up a lot more, so I don't have to talk. But in Resident Evil 5, right, Vertigo? Have you played Resident Evil 5?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, have you played Resident Evil 6?
No.
Have you
the
played
last Resident Evil I played was 4.
Okay, well, in Resident Evil 4 how you have Ashley following you.
Oh, yeah. It's Ashley or whatever.
Yeah, Ashley, the president's daughter, the one with, what did Louis say about her? Oh, big ballistas, I think. Aye. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a creepy
dialogue.
Yeah. Oh man, Resident Evil 4 was great. I sent my right hand to get you. Your right hand comes off. Fucking Leon.
Oh God.
But yeah, so in Resident Evil 4, you had Ashley following you, and in Resident Evil Revelations 2, it's sort of like that, but now you can control both of them, and it's also split-screen local co-op, but each player has a lot of different uses. Well, each player has very different uses. So Claire she has a knife and shoots people, which is fine, but Natalia can, say, point out the weak spots on enemies and see enemies through walls when she's standing, and when she's crouching, she can even see them even further away. And Moira, she can use a flashlight, sort of Alan Wake-y, and blind enemies to stun them, and then she can do a roundhouse kick, which Alan Wake would have been way cooler if it had a roundhouse kick. I'm just saying that.
Pretty much most games would be better with roundhouse or drop kicks.
Or yeah. So it's pretty cool how they've managed to not do the whole army of two thing where they just give you two of the same bloke and call it co-op. And so it's cool that you actually do have to be cooperative to work, because Moira and Natalia both have this special feature where they can look around a little area and point out like hidden objects for you to pick up. So you didn't play Revelations 1, since you said the last one you played was 4. So in Resident Evil Revelations 1, they had this thing called a Genesis, which you would use and you'd scan the environments to find hidden objects. It was supposed to sort of act as a way to like keep you unguarded and keep your weapon down so that you wouldn't have your gun up and be prepared for combat encounters at all times, sort of like the Doom 3 flashlight. But that was pretty dumb, and so they replaced it with a co-op partner, which works a lot better because you have someone else doing it for you, and you can do it when you don't need to be fighting, and you can do it when the whole room is clear and you have time to chill, that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a pretty good game. It's what's weird about it though is just how The Last of Us it is, because a lot of the features I like about it were pretty much just ripped from The Last of Us. So the stealth kills, or the emphasis on like horror survival sort of stuff, like where you're stealthing to kill enemies and there's minimal ammo and you're always scrounging for the next one. You're looting around in different areas. You're creating like smoke bombs. You're throwing rocks at people. All this sort of stuff. Crafting, upgrading weapons. It's all just like this is The Last of Us. And Capcom said like I think 2 years ago or last year they were heavily inspired. Actually, you know what? I'll try and find the quote that Capcom said. Capcom, Resident Evil 6 felt bloated. Resident Evil 7 will return to survival horror roots, and a big inspiration for them is The Last of Us. A lot is said about the situation of this zombie post-apocalyptic survival horror, but it is still alive and well. The Last of Us shows a good direction of what consumers want. Tomb Raider as well. We spoke to R&D and they looked at that and they enjoyed that experience. I think that proves there is still a strong market for that sort of content. So they're basically going to make it more Last of Us-y and Tomb Raider-y, and that is pretty much exactly what they did. Because Moira Byrne was also like, at the very end of the game, in the good ending, she reminded me quite a lot of Lara at the very end of Tomb Raider. Also, that's something that hasn't been seen in fucking forever. A good ending in a Resident Evil game. Like, shit, I can't remember that. Because, like, a lot of reviewers complained about the ending, saying how it was very anticlimactic, how it felt like, how it was very bad, didn't leave a good taste in their mouth, stuff like that. And then it's like, oh, you know what ending they got, don't you? They got the bad ending. So that's always fun to know. But yeah, it's a pretty good game. But I don't have much to say because I'm terrible at explaining what games I've been playing. So why don't we move on to the news?
Okie doke.
You want to start us off?
Sure. Let's talk about. I want to skip to the second bullet point because I'm a rebel and I do what I want. Is the God of War 3 remaster being announced for the PS4? I find this an interesting choice because it feels like that game still looks good. Like, I mean, to be fair, I haven't played it in a while, but it could be one of those things where you think back and that game looked good, and you go back and you play it, and it's like, oh my god, this looks like crap. But I don't really think that's going to be the case. I remember just being completely blown away just by how and I don't even mean that in a negative way. Like, I think actually, maybe not cinematic, but epic scale of, especially.
No. I think cinematic is a good word for it. It's just that word's been turned into sort of a dirty word in the recent years.
Yeah,
thanks.
It really has been.
Marketers.
But like epic in scale, at least, especially early on.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Gaia and you fighting.
Poseidon.
Fighting Poseidon, like that was like just ridiculously badass, insanely unrealistic. But I mean, you're also on the back of a Titan,
yeah,
a Greek god. So I mean, it's realism kind of takes a backseat. But regardless, I'm looking forward to it. I like the God of War series. I've only played 1 and 3 to completion.
Really?
Yeah, I've got the HD collection, which is
Which
1
one?
and 2.
Which
The
HD
1 and
collection?
2 collection.
Okay, because there's 2 volumes of the
Is
God of War
there?
HDs. Yeah, one for the
That's right,
PS2
'cause you
games,
did
one for the PSP.
mobiles. Yeah, I
Not
haven't
the
played
mobile
any
ones.
Can you? Is
There
there a
was an
version of
actual
the
mobile
games?
game on like the dumb phones.
Right, but
Sorry,
is there a mobile version of, or is there a way you can play the mobile versions on console?
what you mean the PSP ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, the God of War HD collection, Volume 2.
Ah, okay. I wasn't sure if the AC collection was for mobiles or not, but
No.
I'm about to
Sorry.
look at that. But I wish they would have at least did this as a collection of 1, 2, and 3 remastered on the PS4. That
Yeah,
would
I
have been
was
nice.
that or God of War 3 and Ascension. Because it's weird that they didn't include Ascension since that's the more recent game and people say that looks as good as a PS4 game.
Well, I mean, why bother then if it's already looks that good, right? I mean,
I guess for just
not really
better
important.
performance. Because, I mean, God of War 3 ran at like 40 to 50 FPS, so now that it's going to be running at 60 FPS constant, that's better. So God of War Ascension would have been also as better, and now I would have had an excuse for playing it. Because I haven't played
Right.
Ascension.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I haven't played that one either. But
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, I still wish at the very least they would have done 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if I'm going to get it or not. I probably will just because I like God of War. It gives me an excuse to replay through the whole game again. But
Yeah.
we'll see. It's kind of cool. Also, there was like a hint at God of War 4. I don't know if you heard about that, where it's got the. And I noticed this, and I didn't really think about it much, but at one point during the video of the release or the announcement trailer, whatever you call it, they're like show the God of War signal. I think it's the like Omega sign or whatever, but I could be totally wrong on that. Anyway, it shows it like come onto the screen 4 times specifically, and some people are interpreting that as this is a hint at God of War 4, which I tend to agree. I think if you like, it might not sound like much, but if you watch it in context, I even noticed that. I was like, that's weird. I was like, what the hell is that for? Why did they do that? But if you kind of look at it and go, oh, there's 4 of them, and it's the symbol they keep using for the God of War series, it's easy to interpret that as God of War 4. And I think somebody was saying that somebody like let it slip that they were working on a God of War 4 at some point, like at E3 or something. But
Yeah, they mentioned that they were going to be working on a God of War game. Although some people saying like maybe it was God of War 3 that they meant or something like that. Oh yeah, I'm watching the trailer right now, and they did put 4 up there. That is a bit bizarre, huh? I didn't catch that on my first viewing.
yeah, I didn't either, and somebody mentioned it. Oh, that's a good point. But yeah, it looks interesting, and I'll probably pick it up, and I'll definitely pick up God of War 4.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but like you said, I do hope that they would have brought over the other games because there's actually a God of War Saga available on PS3, which has 5 God of War games all on one disc. Or no,
Oh, nice.
it has I think 3 on one disc and 2 are a digital voucher. But that's like significantly better money for value or value for money because it's like $40. It's like that's crazy. God of War 3, God of War 1, 2, Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta, I think it is, and 3. It's like that's crazy.
Wow. Actually, right now, at least on the US, on Amazon, I just looked it up. It's $18.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
that is
includes God of
good.
War collections 1 and 2, God of War 3, God of War Collection, which is like you say, Chain of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta.
Yeah, that is a good buy. So I wish they would have ported that over.
So, but when they say God of War Collections 1 and 2, is that the original looks or is that the updated? Like
What do you
the
mean?
HD?
I assume it's the original, like the HD remake thing.
I'll have to look. Anyway, I actually might buy that. If that's the case, I might buy that and do a long let's play on it. Because I don't have anything else to play.
Yeah.
Way
No, there's nothing
ahead
coming out.
all-
No, nothing for
no, there's
years.
definitely no interesting games coming out this year. Absolutely not. No Batman, no Witcher 3, no Bloodborne, no.
No, Bloodborne's
bajillion
not
other
coming out.
games.
You're right. You're actually right about that one.
It's still technically. Is it out in Europe? I don't remember.
I think it is. I'd have to check.
I know it was behind because Mad Dragon was lamenting
No, I think he posted a picture on Twitter that it's actually out where he is now. Yes, it's been out for 2 days.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so God of War. Interesting.
Yeah.
To see, definitely want to see more games in this series.
So let's move on to Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition trailer. Trish, Lady, and Virgil all playable. This is turning into like some Dynasty Warriors crap. 5 playable characters? Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I mean, I only played the definitive Devil May Cry, which was the reboot, the DMC.
Go die.
I want like the 2 people who watch. I hope at least one of them is a hardcore Devil May Cry. It's like, oh yeah, like he's spitting all over the screen. You son of a bitch. But yeah, I actually technically have played 1 and 3 a little bit. Like I played the first one like 2 hours and about the same on the third one, and didn't get that far. Just because with console games, I don't.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Well, 3 has a PC port.
Yeah, but I've heard it's horrendously bad.
It's a trend. It's atrocious. I beat the entire game on PC, and yeah, it's pretty bad.
Does it not even control or support controllers?
It supports like super old controllers, and it sort of supports new controllers, but all the button mappings are fucked up.
Yeah. See, I just, especially now that I have a capture card, I feel like, okay, I can just buy the HD remake of the first 3, and then play 1 and 3, and then pretend the second one doesn't exist.
I like what you did there.
Yeah. I haven't played. I've watched a little bit of Devil May Cry 2, and it looks. But yeah, I haven't played 4. I've owned it for years, never actually loaded it up. So I'll probably go ahead and buy it. It's not coming to PC, right?
Or, oh no, it is.
PC. Oh, that one is okay.
Definitive Edition isn't, but DMC4 is. I guess they realized that Definitive Edition was basically just a bunch of mods for the PC version, so they didn't want to re-release it.
Right, and well, the DMC thing, that's kind of pissing me off because the collective or the master edition or whatever they called it, the reboot, because I want some of that stuff on the PC version. I'm like, I'd be glad to pay a little bit for. I mean, obviously some of the stuff doesn't apply, like 60 FPS. It's like, well, that's been 60 FPS on the PCs as they want, but stuff like the being able to take out the red and blue enemies, playing through the tower, the tower,
that reminds me. There's going to be a Bloody Palace mode for Trish, Lady, and Virgil.
Oh,
yeah, that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Also, Trish will be able to play through all of Nero's campaign. Lady will be able to play through all of Dante's campaign, and Virgil will be able to play through both Nero and Dante's campaign.
Well, that probably would mean something to me more if I'd actually played those. But when is that supposed to be coming out anyway? DMC4.
I don't know. They said summer, but I have no idea what that means because I'm Australian.
Oh, right. Yeah, you guys are completely backwards.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Special edition June 18th. June 24th for Windows.
Yeah, I can wait a few extra days. I'm sure I'll already be like, oh god, that's coming out already?
Wait. When does Batman Arkham Knight come out? Wait, what was it?
It's I don't know now.
They're both June?
Oh, well,
oh my god!
Well, Batman wins that fight. without question.
Oh. June 23rd, 2015, and Devil May Cry 4 comes out a day after. Oh my fucking god. Game developers.
Man, I bet when Batman got delayed to the 23rd, they were like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, oh my goodness, Jesus.
You said Batman is the 23rd of June?
Yes. And for Linux, it's
my calendar.
The Q3 or Q4 of 2015. I'm surprised Arkham Knight is coming out for SteamOS.
But yeah, it's and it's like another week before the DMC4 is on PC. So, at least give me a decent amount of time into Batman, which I'm
No, it's a day after
stupidly
when
hyped
DMC4 comes out.
for PC though.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
June 18th for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Yeah.
Okay, well, it still sucks.
Yep. Why can't
well.
game developers spread their releases apart? Come on, this can't be good for you.
I know. Work together, guys. Do it for us. I was just saying, like, there could be no new games. They could push all games back until the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, and I still would feel like, oh God, I'm not ready yet. Like,
you say that, yet the last time you said that on this podcast, Say asked you what game you were going to play, what game you wanted to play most in your backlog, and you mentioned a game that hadn't even come out yet. So I think the problem's with you, mister.
Well, I want to play it the most because it's a game I've already played other games and because I'm hyped for it. I think it was Witcher 3 probably. But that and Batman, like I just love those games so much that I'm like, yeah, I'll skip other stuff to play that.
You'll skip your
But
girlfriend to play
GTA
Batman.
5, I'll probably do that same just because I heard it's so good.
But... yeah. Oh my god, it's been so difficult to avoid. I don't know if I want to mention that because probably people will spoil it for me. Never mind.
The spoilers for GTA 5?
Damn it!
Do you really care? I mean,
I sort of
it's
care.
GTA.
But... I mean,
I'm not saying the story's bad.
I don't want them to spoil the puns, like the fact that in GTA 4 the internet cafe is named Twat.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's one of those games I don't really care about spoilers too much. I mean, I'm not gonna look for them either, but.
Yeah, but yeah. So Devil May Cry 4, the special edition. I hope it has. I hope Virgil has his own mini campaign rather than just having a special introduction cutscene and then just playing through the rest of Dante and Nero's campaign, like he did in DMC3. That'd be cool. Oh, also, Capcom have confirmed that Trish will have a lot of moves from, well, not a lot, but she will have some of her moves from Marvel vs. Capcom. So that's cool. So it's been sort of a testing ground for DMC.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Also, Trish, Lady, and Virgil, I think all of them will have DMC3 alternate costumes.
Oh yeah, I like having alternate like costumes and stuff.
Yeah, I think Lady's costume in DMC3 looks far better than it does in DMC4. Because I don't know if you noticed in DMC3, her skirt wasn't actually a skirt. It was just a lot of bags to keep ammo in. So, or like little pouches, I guess. I forget. I don't know the technical jargon, but I thought it was pretty cute.
Oh, Lady's that girl with the mismatched eyes. I didn't even know who that was.
She has mismatched eyes?
Yeah.
I didn't know this. Does she? I can't find a good close-up of her eyes. Most are just focusing on her bazooka.
Just do a search for DMC Lady.
Oh, she does. Huh. Never noticed that.
Yeah, because I mean, I've watched speedruns and stuff of Devil May Cry. Is she called Lady just because she doesn't have a name, or is that like actually her name?
She's just... Well, in DMC3, I thought it was just because they didn't know each other that well. Like, Dante just goes, "Hey, lady!" I thought, like, oh yeah, hey, lady. But apparently it is her name.
Well, I guess it's probably like her name now.
Yeah, as a nickname.
And makes me immediately think of the Kenny Rogers / Lionel Richie song.
What's that? No, you're going too old school for me.
I know.
You're showing your age.
Cool. Yeah, I know. Lady. Look it up sometime. They're great. No. Kenny Rogers was amazing. Don't everybody ever diss him.
Kenny Rogers.
But yeah, DMC. Cool that it's the new. What's funny is people were all excited about DMC4. I remember when DMC4 came out, people were being like, meh. Like they weren't that crazy about it. But it's one of those things that I've noticed where when a game comes out, people are like, meh. But then when they re-release it or it's coming out again, people are like, oh God, I love that game so much. It's like, wait, what? Where were you when it first came out?
Yeah, well, that's what happens when they try to do something like significantly different. Like Nero was a pretty big shift, and the fact that you have to replay the entire first half of the campaign with Dante, it's just sort of But the hack and slash genre is sort of one that it has a lot of depth to it, and generally you only find out that depth a couple months, years into the game, and that's when people are like, oh yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
So it takes a while for people to realize just what sort of depth there is to it, because there is a lot of depth in DMC4, mostly thanks to the on-the-fly style switching Dante has. Well, Nero ain't too bad either with his Red Queen. That's his sword.
All right. Well, next step or next item.
Oh
yes. High-level Konami executive being removed as of April 1st and were treated as contractors. That I hadn't heard about. So like, how did that happen? Like, hey, yeah, you're not gonna be the CFO or the chief technology officer anymore, but we're gonna just pay you as a contractor. Like, what's their reasoning for doing that?
Konami needs to have a restructuring to put more importance on Konami as a brand rather than, say, Kojima or any of the other directors and people there. So they want people to focus more on them, and the logo Konami, than Kojima. Which, if you continue on, we will put all of these together so they all intertwine.
Oh, I mean,
want me to read it? I can read it.
Why they do it? I mean, I guess I could. I don't know. Seems dumb, but so is the
Wait. Okay, I'll read it. Konami intent on continuing to produce Metal Gear Solid games after Kojima and other senior staff at Koji Pro leave. Konami also removing traces of Hideo Kojima from their sites. Koji Pro LA rebranded as Konami Los Angeles. Sorry, there's just a lot of information in there that I probably would have spoiled or done, so put them all as one.
So, I mean, I don't know. If I was Kojima, I'd be kind of pissed about that. It's like you kind of scrubbing my name off of all this stuff. Which, I mean, granted, he loved to spray paint his name every damn where, but still, at the same time, they're kind of oh no, we don't. You're taking too much of the credit for the stuff that we throw money at.
Well, Kojima always is now I know this is a bit of a far-fetched thing to say, but he always sort of looked towards Hollywood and cinema for inspiration,
Yeah.
Well, but in Hollywood, they'd always have a Christopher Nolan film on the box, or they'd have the director and say it's a film by them. And so Kojima basically wanted to do that with his game. So it's a Hideo Kojima game instead of film. And that's basically what he was doing. But Konami, they don't like that so much. At least not anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it doesn't make much sense, but I'd be interested. So, I mean, I can't imagine if Kojima is going to continue working with them. Wait, let me start all over. I can't imagine Metal Gear Solid games without Kojima. Like I say, I'm not even a big fan of the series, but I mean, when you think Metal Gear Solid, he's so ingrained in that series. I just can't imagine it without him.
Yeah, definitely, because he's one of those directors. You remove him, you remove an essential part of the game from it. So it's surprising that they would do this is Konami just essentially cutting off their own arm and then trying their best to get rid of the other arms, and it's I don't know. I can't think of a good analogy because this is so fucking stupid. But it's dumb. Because they're just doing this to try and make people like Konami more, or focus on the Konami as a brand more, and that's fine. I'm sure people will focus on Konami as a brand more, as a brand that's completely full of fuck-ups and incompetence who got rid of the best thing that's ever happened to them. So, congratulations?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some of the executives are getting too big for their britches. I don't know. I don't know how Konami could feel that way. How many hits have they had recently?
Well, there's Lords of Shadow 2,
which got mediocre reviews, if I recall. I don't know how well it sold.
It sold like shit. And the only reason the first game sold was because Hideo Kojima was, played somewhat of a part in it. In the Japanese version, he voiced one of the characters, and in English, he was basically like, "Yeah, this game," and that was it.
I don't know.
They were
But
basically
we'll see,
using
I
him.
guess. I just can't see Metal Gear Solid continuing without his intervention. But maybe he'll just stay on, and maybe that's what he's going to do, is work as a contractor for Konami to continue working on Metal Gear Solid. I don't know.
Yeah.
But wait, didn't he say he didn't want to do anymore?
Yeah,
Metal Gear
he said
Solid
he.
games?
Well, actually, that might be looking into what he most recently said about Metal Gear Solid being my last Metal Gear Solid. It actually has a lot more of a different tone with this new information coming to light. He said, "This will be my last Metal Gear Solid. There will be more Metal Gear, but Metal Gear Solid will end," or something like that. And at first, I was like, "Kojima, you're making no sense. Is this something in Japanese that got mistranslated?" But now it's like, oh shit, he's talking about how he's getting fired and they're going to continue to make more games in the Metal Gear Solid universe, but without him, it essentially won't be the same. It's like, god damn.
Yeah. I just don't see it being. I mean, willing to give it a chance and all that, but yeah, it's just don't see it. Don't see it happening.
Yeah, like Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance was pretty good, but that was mostly carried by Platinum Games. Like, and a lot of the writing of that was done by, it was a conjoined effort between Platinum and Koji Pro, but even then, like, a lot of the writing was a bit hit and miss. Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't fret over every egg. You know what I mean?
Well, we kind of talked about it. We'll see what happens, I guess, with that.
Yeah.
But
it could be good. I mean, if it gets us more Platinum games, then I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm not okay with it, because that sucks. Hideo Kojima is essentially being fired from his job for being too good. Like, what the fuck? But
I mean, I assume that he's still going to be contracted for
until December.
The Silent Hill movie.
No, actually. The Silent Hills, It seems like he's not part of that anymore because they're removing his name from all of that. They've removed Koji Pro logos from all boxes. They've removed basically any mention of him.
Removing, like you say, maybe they're just trying to remove that whole, like, cult of personality thing where,
that's
this
true.
game is
but then,
so maybe they're taking it from that angle. I don't know.
Yeah, but people hadn't actually seen, like, an announcement of Kojima saying, like, yes, he's directing it before, because they just sort of assumed, like, he would have something to do with it because, his name was there, and that's sort of what he does. Like, I don't know, Hideo Kojima is a director, according to Wikipedia. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. Hopefully, he's still on board with Silent Hills, because otherwise he's just going to be Guillermo del Toro, and I don't think he's made many good video games.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not interested in Silent. I mean, I became interested in Silent Hill when I found out him and Del Toro were involved. But anyway, we'll see.
Yeah.
Next item, Titanfall 2 confirmed for PC, Xbox One, and PS4. So I guess that whole strategy of just releasing for Xbox, well, I guess it was Xbox One and PC. I kind of forgot.
And Xbox 360.
That's how much I've forgotten about Titanfall.
Yeah, Titanfall. Wow, it came and went.
Yeah, it really did. Like, it just, like, super hyped.
I know. I never got the hype for that. Like 450 like E3 Game of the Show awards or some bullshit like that, and it just no one cared. Wow, goes to show you how much journalists know about a good game.
Well, what's funny about that is I didn't really care that much about it to start with, and they did like the demo weekend or the trial weekend where everybody was into it before the game was released, the beta weekend or whatever.
Yeah, I was considering downloading it. Then it's like 50 gigabytes or some shit. It's just massive.
Well, yeah.
And I've got Australian internet, so.
But yeah. So I was like, I'll try it. Do a stream on it just for funsies. So the first day I played it, it's like, holy shit! I'm like, this game is amazing. And I was like, I was very serious considering. I was like, I'm gonna buy this day one now. Like the second day I played it, I was like, okay, like I feel like I've Titanfalled. I'm done. Like I was just like I just got bored with it really fast. I mean, I realized it was just a beta and your maps and stuff were limited, but I mean, if I got bored with it that quick, I just don't see myself getting that, staying with it that long. I think I actually did end up buying it for $5 when it went on sale on Origin, but I still haven't loaded it up. Like I don't really have any desire for it.
Because I
Like you
mean,
say,
aside from the
nobody was talking
multiplayer,
about it.
there's like a 5-second long campaign.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It just I don't know. It just got really boring after a while. Like the whole like fighting somebody, jumping on their Titan and attacking them, and they jump out and fight. Like again, that's one of those things that first was cool, but then eventually was very formulaic. Like okay, I jump on, okay, he's gonna jump out. I'm gonna run away. And either try to shoot him as he comes out, or just hide until he gets back in the map and
Yeah,
then jump back
that's
on.
a big
It's
complaint a lot of
it's-
people had about the game was a lack of content. Even hardcore players who, play like these sort of FPSs for thousands of hours say like it has a lack of content. So, so hopefully now that it's been proven that, it is a decent formula, they can just add a bunch to it. Perhaps a single player of sorts, because for a multiplayer only FPS game, apparently it has like a fuckload of lore and like a crazy universe. So it'd be kind of cool to see what the fuck is actually going on in this universe rather than through like just these like short little cutscenes at the beginning and end of a match. There was this review of it I watched by Yahtzee for Zero Punctuation. He was like, he asked people in the chat like, "Does anyone know what's going on here?" And someone's like, everyone responds like, "No, nope, nada. Go fuck yourself. Are you a Jew?" It's just like that sums it up.
yeah.
But
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't really care that much because, like I said, I got bored with the first one so quick. But meh, whatever.
yeah.
Next topic: City Skylines sells 250,000 copies within 24 hours, and sold 500,000 within its first week. That's Paradox Interactive's fastest selling title. Though again, it needs to be mentioned they did not develop the game; they only published it.
Still a good thing to publish, considering it's their fastest.
Yeah. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, they developed the game." It's like, no, give credit where credit is due. They did not.
That's true. Who did develop it? I forget. We asked this last week, I think.
Speaking of giving credit where it's due, yeah, I totally.
Colossal Order.
Yeah, Colossal Order, who did Cities in Motion. But yeah, great game. It's what SimCity. I mean, this typical. That's what SimCity should have been. It's what Cities XXL should have been. It's I'm still.
Well, no. Let me correct you on that. It's not what Cities XXL should have been. It's what Cities XL should have been.
Wow.
Because they've just been re-releasing the same game like multiple times in a row. It's like Cities XL, Platinum, 2013.
Like multi-processor issue.
They haven't.
Doesn't properly utilize multiple processors.
Yeah.
So it like runs like crap. Yeah.
You get to 100,000 people in a city and it's slowing down to a crawl.
You don't even have to do that. Like if you can be in a raw, untouched map, and if you start drawing like a relatively large residential area in Cities XXL, I go from like 90 frames a second down to 20.
Wow, I managed to make it worse.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Oh yeah, and like I say, that's a raw, empty map. Like
yeah,
if you have a bigger map, it's going to be even worse. Like the fact that they are still just ignoring that and just pumping out games. Like,
how can Focus Home Interactive like do this? Like they make some actually decent games. Is this actually so lucrative?
They publish a lot of janky ass games.
That's very true. They do
games that seem like they should be good, but they have tons of rough edges that just make them prevent them from being great. That's kind of their thing. Those games like you should just change their name to Almost There Games.
Yeah.
Like, this game is almost there, but it's not quite finished enough. But yeah, City Skylines. I'm really glad to see that it's doing well because it is really good city game. It's not that it matters since Maxis is pretty much completely broken up now, but and this is the vindictive part of me, which is 90% of me. I like to see stuff like this because that the people in those meetings were like, oh yeah, people don't really care about having a big city. They
Yeah.
it's more interested in these smaller, easy to manage cities. We got to make it accessible to new players and blah blah blah. We got to dumb it down and all this other bullshit. And then they see a game like City Skylines completely take off with nothing but praise, and they have to just sit there and whether they admit it or not, just part of them is like, God damn it. It's like,
that could have been our money. God damn it.
Exactly. We threw it away because we thought we had to dumb it down. We thought we had to put this online only horse shit into it. We thought we had to cram in multiplayer when it didn't need it. All this other bullshit that they thought, oh, no. People will come around to it. And how many times I'm sure did quotes come around like Henry Ford saying, if I gave people what they wanted, I'd have gave them a better horse. Like how many times did they say shit like that around the office? Yeah, we know what's best. Like, look at Apple. Like, they know what's, they ignored their consumers and just make what they want. And they've got tons of money. So we know what we're doing. We'll just give them what they really want. They just don't know it. And it completely flopped. And I'm glad that it did to prove that, no, you assholes aren't always right. That's not to say you're not always wrong either. But sometimes people don't know what they want. Hell, a lot of times people don't know what the hell they want. But, you can't just ignore everything and just say, oh, no, this is what I think.
It's definitely a case-by-case basis. Like, why make an online-only game for a God game? There are a lot of people out there who would love to play a God game and don't have internet. Like, do you see why they might want to play a game where they are God? Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It just dumb. But, kudos to Paradox. Kudos to that company you just said.
Colossal Order?
The game. Yes, Colossal Order.
Yeah, kudos to them.
Yes, good job on making an actually good city builder game that we desperately needed.
Yeah, definitely. Basically, everything I hear from reviewers on this game is that it's SimCity 5. This is SimCity 5. Like, this is the sequel everyone has been waiting for.
But yeah, good. Next news. 2 new guest combatants announced for Mortal Kombat X, Jason Voorhees and Predator. They also announced that, well, I guess they weren't guests, but those are the guest, quote-unquote, guest characters. That's interesting, I guess. There's been speculation we're going to see other types of guests, like the alien, like a xenomorph.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting.
Very interesting in a fighting game. But, yeah, that's pretty cool. I think people relatively liked Freddy on Mortal Kombat 9. I think he was decent. I don't think he was. I don't know. I didn't really keep up with that much, but I think I did see him in a few tournaments. But that's cool to see them. That kind of that's definitely the kind of characters. If this was the '80s and I was, a young kid, I'd be like super excited. Like, yes, Jason Voorhees and Predator and my favorite, fighting games. Like, that would be like dream.
I'm gonna have Casey Cage fight the Predator.
Yes. And if we just had Freddy Krueger in there, and Michael Myers and Chucky and Hellraiser guy and the Phantasm guy,
you just want Mugen.
An '80s horror fighting game.
There is a game that exists like that. I've got to link it to you later. It's a fan made, of course, so because the copyright stuff would be just so fucking impossible. But I'll show you it later.
But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're doing this sort of DLC, the stuff of like guest characters, because I like it and it seems to sell a bunch. Because out of all NetherRealm, the developers, they mentioned that the best-selling DLC they had in Mortal Kombat 9 was all the guest stuff. So the guy you said that's from the horror films that I don't watch, the thriller stuff, and I forget the other guest characters, but them as well. Like, they sold amazingly well in comparison to just the regular DLC, like that guy with the bandage around his face because he's blind and stuff. I don't know the names of Mortal Kombat characters.
I don't remember that one. I haven't really kept up with Mortal Kombat since before. whatever.
Kenshi? It might be Kenshi. Yeah, it's Kenshi.
Oh, yeah.
Still, I hope they bring back the best character in Mortal Kombat, Mocap, spelled with a K. I don't know if you remember that from...
I saw that briefly
in Deadly Alliance. So fucking good.
Yeah, some of those characters they ended up I didn't see them until way later because like I said, I totally fell off the Mortal Kombat bandwagon after 4.
Yeah, a lot of...
Yeah, I saw the meat. There's a meat guy or something like that. It's basically a person without skin or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, a lot of Mortal Kombat characters in the middle of the series, they were just terrible. They just kept creating so many characters, and they tended to focus on quantity rather than quality.
Yeah. But I'm definitely I'm probably going to pick up Mortal Kombat X on release. I'm working on an arcade stick. I got to order some more stuff to make it whole. But hopefully I'll have that ready to go by the time the game comes out. Because I'd actually like to do a let's play at the single player portion with the actual arcade stick. I think it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, and you can be a PS3 fight stick. You don't need to buy a brand new super expensive PlayStation 4 one. As much as as much as Mad Cats and all that would hate because they can't charge you a premium.
Yeah. Well, we already have one. I got the casing and I've got some of the buttons and stuff. I got to get some of the guts.
Oh, okay.
Ready.
All right. So, ready to move on?
Yep. Last thing. Well, one of the last.
Yeah. Nintendo is going to develop smartphone games. So about time. Because I think Nintendo would honestly make some very good smartphone games, because especially tablet games mostly, because the Wii U gamepad, a lot of games on there work really well. The only problem is you're constantly looking down at the gamepad rather than at the TV and the gamepad. So it's not as, unified like the Nintendo DS or 3DS, where you have them in such close proximity. But with a tablet, you just got a big thing, just play the game on there. Like the most recent Kirby game, you're just always looking at the tablet pretty much. So that sort of game would work perfectly on a tablet. So I think this is great. I think Nintendo will make a very successful leap into the smartphone or mobile games development business, and I'm surprised they haven't done it already.
I think they just didn't. Well, one, Nintendo is always stuck 10 years behind everybody else perpetually. And two, I think they don't like the idea of their games being on not their hardware, because I think they want control over all that, and they also, of course, sell more Nintendo DSs or whatever. And I think they see that as kind of almost on a way competing with themselves, because now they have to pay Apple or whoever to
Yeah, and a lot of revenue for Nintendo is actually through hardware. So once you get rid of Nintendo from their own software, you start to realize that, hey, why am I buying this? And so I think they've just slowly been resistant to the change because, once you get rid of them, there's not much left for a Wii U, is there? Right. I mean, Bayonetta 2 works amazingly with just with the stylus. So it's you can even bring that over.
Yeah, they could be interesting. Have a special smartphone style, which but then you got a problem of, I don't know, different phones might treat it differently, and it might not work or whatever. But we'll see how this goes. I don't really care about mobile gaming at all, so I mean, it could work out for them. I think they'll make a lot of money on it. But long term, it's probably the smart solution. It's, yes, you might sell less Nintendo DSs because you're putting Nintendo games on mobile. And you could even say, all right, put kind of dumbed down versions of your popular games that you would normally play on the DS. Put those on the mobile phone, some kind of lesser version of Mario Brothers or Zelda or whatever,
or Metroid or something like that.
Right, and then people are like, oh man, if I want to get the fully unlocked because the DS is more powerful or whatever, that I'm going to go buy a DS so I can buy the newer version. I want every version of this game, whatever. So I could see that working. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that.
Yeah, because Nintendo has always sort of been pretty good at that whole, we're going to teach you how to play this game so you can play more complex games like our more complicated games like Legend of Zelda, so that they just stay in their like ecosystem and buy more of their games. So I can see them doing that as a way to like get people to buy their consoles and just sort of like train them. So like have some really dedicated like super cool stuff that can only be done on a console, games, and then some special stuff, some very simplified stuff on the smartphones. So I think this would be like the best thing for Nintendo.
Probably. Now, last thing, a lot of delays recently been talked about. Uncharted 4 being pushed until spring of 2016. Zelda U until $2016. Supposedly, I can't imagine it being pushed back even further.
Yeah, it might, depending on like Nintendo NX. Like it might be pulling a Twilight Princess. Wait, do you know what I mean when I say Twilight Princess?
Yes, yes.
And wait, what does that mean, Vertigo?
The Zelda game.
No, like pulling a Twilight Princess means like Twilight Princess released on GameCube and the Wii because the GameCube was selling like shit, so they just did it as a launch title for the Nintendo Wii.
Okay, right. Yeah. Because I remember there was like a non-motion control version on the GameCube. But I don't really see that happen. I mean, I guess it could, but I don't really put a lot of stock in that. But regardless, it got delayed. And oh boy, Homefront: The Revolution delayed until 2000. That's the real kicker.
Yeah. Man, that game is cursed. I think I say it every time this game is brought up, but it is so fucking cursed.
Which is all the time.
Yeah.
I know nothing about Homefront's games.
Oh, so have I actually mentioned it on this podcast that it's cursed?
Nope.
Sure okay. All right. Well, then I'll go through its short history. So, Homefront began development, and it was fucking insane. They were constantly having to ask for more money, and they were constantly saying they'd add more features so that they could get more money. And it was just basically a bunch of them asking for money, trying to get it, promising to add in features that they most likely couldn't add, saying that they'd be able to compete with the likes of Call of Duty and all that. And so THQ would eventually give them the money, and then they'd do this massive marketing campaign for it, and it sold meh. So that was great. And then Chaos, the developers, they died, which sucked. And THQ later also died, which sucked. But they were developing a sequel to Homefront because they had already put so much money into the IP. They're like, might as well try to get something out of it. So they hired Crytek to do it. And Crytek... and then THQ died, and so Crytek bought the IP off of THQ during THQ's deathbed for like 50 grand, and then they were going to finish the game, and then it started. Then Crytek UK died, and then they also fucked up with it, and now it's gone over to some other studio. I think it's the people who bought Darksiders, and the majority of the people from there. It's messed up. That game, I don't think it'll ever come out.
Yeah. And I don't think, maybe it'll be really good, but generally games that have to go through all that kind of stuff end up being mediocre at best. Not always. But,
yeah. Look at Duke Nukem Forever. That took forever to come out, and it was great.
South Park RPG. Like, that got delayed, and then, that happened during the whole THQ breakup, and people were like, oh god, how's this going to affect the game? And it turned out...
Did you know that game almost didn't come out?
The South Park one?
Yeah. If it wasn't for the Pillars of Eternity Kickstarter, it would have had to have been cancelled.
Why?
Because the entire studio would have had to be shut down because they had no money.
Wait, what does the Pillars of Eternity have to do with that?
They're the same developer.
Oh, Obsidian.
Yeah. Are we still talking about the same South Park RPG?
Yeah. I forgot that they did that game
Yeah. Okay.
at all. But yeah, that's cool.
Well, it's very different from what they normally make, so that's fair enough. You look
They
at
used to
Pillars of
do,
Eternity and you look at the South Park game and you're like, what's
No, that's not the same people. But yeah, I actually really like the South Park game. Like, it doesn't have a lot of replayability, but just the dialogue and stuff. Like, if you like that South Park humor and aren't easily offended, which those two things usually don't go together. If you're easily offended, you
I love
probably
South
don't like
Park. Oh yeah, I bet you would.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's awful. But it's two of those things that don't go together. It's like being a vegan and liking an all you can eat, I don't know, steak joint. Like, you probably,
Yeah.
those two things probably don't go together. But yeah, it was really good. But yeah, anyway, get more game pushbacks. It's good. Well, it's usually good when a game gets pushed back until it's to the point of Duke Nukem Forever pushback. But for the most part, I'd say the vast majority of cases, it's good that games get.
Yeah.
It gives them time to work on it, so we don't have another like half-assed release. Hell, even Bloodborne maybe should have gotten pushed back because they've got some bad loading screen issues going on. And apparently a game-breaking bug as well.
They're going to be patching those, I think. I think I read somewhere that they're getting patched. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's the case. You know, I've just sort of been avoiding a lot of the content or news about it, so I've just... Apparently there's like a Blighttown sort of thing in Bloodborne, so hope you're looking forward to that.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's all the news.
Yep. So, you got anything to shout out?
Just starting a Bloodborne series. You should definitely check that out on youtube.com/VertigoTeaParty. It's a rough start for sure. Hopefully doesn't continue to be as rough, but we'll see. But yeah, that's my big thing. And also follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/VertigoTeaParty.
Cool. And I'll shout out Geek Remix's Life is Strange Let's Play, because I thought it was, I think it is pretty good. That game is pretty good, and I recommended it to them, so I feel like I am the father of their Let's Play.
Very good. You helped give birth to it.
Yep. Yep.
So, I want to play that.
It's so good. You should play it, and we can discuss
how many
it.
chapters or whatever is it going to be?
It's going to be, I think 5 episodes, and 2 are already released.
I'll probably wait until it's done, just because I have so much other stuff to play.
Yeah.
I'd rather... And the only reason I jumped into the Game of Thrones thing is because, well, it's Game of Thrones, and I'm a huge Game of Thrones nerd, so I had to get on that one immediately. But that one I'll probably will play once it's...
Yeah, that's probably the safest bet, because if it's anything like Telltale, when like half of the episodes are released, they'll have it like 75% off.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing, is I'll probably be able to catch it on a sale. But I guess that's it. I guess it's everything.
Yep. All right, thank you for watching, everyone. Join us in another fortnight when hopefully Mad Dragon and Ice Bear stop being lazy punks and join us. Bye.
Goodbye.